Hi guys, I'm Andy, and it's time for another devlog. While I didn't make as much progress as I wanted to, I still have a little bit to go over, so let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, thank you again for your support. It means so much to me, and knowing that other people are excited about my project just makes it that much more fun. The first thing I did this week was begin working on a more detailed project tracker to help me more clearly outline what needs to be done before this game is finished. I've included a little bit more detailed sections within this project tracker, and I think I'll be updating the website to give a little bit more information about what exactly is happening and to share that with you guys as well. But I need to get it finished first, so you'll be seeing that eventually. Alright, so here you can see that I am actually working on making the most basic version of this tape player. It is the, based on the original Play School version. It's very, very round. If you've ever taken a moment to look at a Play School tape player, you'll notice that it basically looks like a circle. And so I kind of took that and ran with it, and decided to use a circle as the base shape for this particular character. Here I am just kind of stretching it out a little bit. It was a little bit too round, not quite tall enough for me to add in all the details that I wanted to add, which with pixel art is always a struggle. You have to really balance, and this isn't something that I was aware of really before I started to do pixel art more frequently, but you really have to balance the amount of detail that you put with the style of the art itself. For this particular instance, I decided to go a little bit more simplistic. It doesn't have all of the features that the actual tape player has, but it's got enough so that you know what you're looking at. I'm just kind of adding in the microphones here and just kind of trying to figure out what is this going to look like. Also, I realized that the handle was a little bit too tall, so I decided to shrink that down just a smidge, make some final adjustments on the overall shape of the tape player, and here I am just adding in that tape deck window itself. And if for whatever reason on this particular tape player, it has what appear to be teeth, which I think is part of the reason that it always creeped me out as a child, but be that as it is, there's not much I can do there. So I decided to go ahead and include those in the design because that's part of what makes it look so cute, right? It has these things that kind of look like teeth, right? And that's what makes it more child-friendly, apparently. Who really knows at this point? But I will warn you, this color scheme is not the final color scheme, so don't worry. It's going to get a little bit darker, a little bit closer to that, to match the style of the main character here, because I'm sure you've noticed by now, but this is meant to be a scary character, so it can't be all bright and white and colorful, right? It needs to be a little bit dark, a little bit scarier. So that's the look I decided to go for, and I think you'll see me updating it here, just trying out some different colors. I did end up going with more of a darker pink, purple aesthetic so that it matched it more closely. The biggest thing I accomplished, however, was getting a sketch of the first enemy created. Now, this character is based off of a Play School tape player I had growing up. Dating myself, I know. This tape player and I have a bit of a history. You see, it was the subject of a recurring night terror for me as a young child. I'm talking 3 to 4 years old. And as I'm sure you can imagine, it's not something that's ever really gone away. That night terror, for whatever reason, is just stuck with me. And I kind of wanted to tell you how the dream went, right? Give you a little bit of picture and to give you an idea of how it felt to be in the dream. So I'm gonna tell you a story, right? I'm gonna share that dream with you in story form. Hopefully you enjoy it. But yeah, as you can see, I have the concept art behind the pixels that I'm doing, and this really makes it clear. I'm going for shape and idea. Let me set the stage a bit. I'm all cozy and snuggled up under my covers and about to fall asleep. The lullaby tape is just about to end, and I find myself drifting to sleep. I hear the loud click of the tape player as the tape ends, and open my eyes, only to find that the red indicator light didn't turn off when the tape ended. I can feel dread creeping up inside me as the dim nightlight illuminated the impossible. The tape player had unplugged itself. The tape had ended, and yet that ominous red light remained. It began slowly at first. The two colorful microphones had dislodged themselves from their homes at its side and were creeping towards me. My eyes widen as I realize it's happening again. The more afraid I become, the quicker it seemed to move. It hobbled off the edge of the dresser and began inching towards me. Tape deck mouth open, microphone arms and plug-in tail reaching out at me. I cry out in fear. Its arms were only inches away from me when my mom bursts in the room and it falls limp on the bed before she can see. It's a silly little kid nightmare, but terrifying nonetheless. That dream was so potent that it even returned to me once I was a teenager in high school. That time, however, I just laughed when I woke up. But in the dream, all the fear and terror had returned as forcefully as if it had never left. That nightmare has actually served as inspiration for the story of the first parts of this game. The feeling of being helpless, tiny, and terrified, pursued by something that shouldn't exist, and yet it did. That tape player never stopped being creepy, even in a different house. I still found strange things happening with it. It would record randomly when no one had touched it, and it was hidden away in a cupboard. Always had this strange feeling like it was something dangerous, just waiting for an opportunity to strike. I really wonder, have any of you guys ever experienced something like that? Something creepy and, frankly, a little unexplainable happening as a child that's never really left you? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious about what stories you all might tell. Now, as you can see in the video here, this is just kind of a sped up version of me creating the initial version of the tape player, kind of figuring out what colors I want to use, and then of course the nightmare version. I'm not 100% happy with his design just yet. I don't think he's quite finished, but he will be soon, and you guys will see, of course. As soon as he's finished, I will give you an update. And I don't know, I'm thinking about plugging him in the game, getting his animations all finished up. I don't know. He's definitely something, that's for sure. Definitely creeps me out. Even now, like, the picture doesn't really do it justice. As a child, the tape didn't really shape shift or anything like that, but I'm adjusting the shape to try and convey a little bit more clearly that fear, that anxiety that I felt as a child, just with this tape player. It haunted me every night. This thing pursued me and tried to eat me. That's a common fear of mine, actually, as a child. I wasn't just the tape player that I was afraid of. I remember one time we had gone to Burger King and they had this giant inflatable burger bounce house. And if you guys have ever been in a bounce house, you know those things are really, really loud. And of course, as a child, that terrified me, that loud sound. And you go in through what looks like a mouth, right? The hole in the front looks like a mouth. So, of course, little me refused to go in. You see, I was afraid that it was going to eat me, and I said as much. And unfortunately, that quote is one that I might never live down. Here we can see, getting back to the footage, that I am just kind of finishing up that tape player, that nightmare version. So I've got the colors matched, I've got the shape pretty much figured out, and as you can see, I'm just kind of adding in some extra details now at this point, trying to figure out how are the buttons gonna go? You know, what colors should I use? What are they going to look like? You know, all of those fun details. And to be honest, I'm quite proud of how it turned out. I think that even though he's not quite finished, I think that he looks really cool. You can see that I thought about adding a nose, but then decided it looked absolutely awful, so that got removed shortly after. Just didn't quite fit the vibe, even solid. And actually I decided instead of using a nose, I would add in a tongue. So that's kind of where that tongue idea came from. With that being said, that is everything I have for you today. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and do all those fun YouTube things. It really helps me out and will help the channel and our community grow. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.